Welcome to the deep dive.
It's good to be here.
All right, today we are digging into something I find fascinating. The quarterly signal report from the Chicago AI Mastermind.
Yeah, this is a good one. It's grounded in reality.
Exactly. We're focusing on the Q4 signal, so what practitioners were seeing in the field around November 2025 to help you, the listener, tune your strategic radar for 2026.
And our mission here is absolutely practical. We're not interested in vendor roadmaps or these abstract predictions.
No hype.
No hype. We're looking at collective experience.
Yeah.
What tools are actually failing under real-world load? Where are workflows just dramatically shifting?
And what are the unexpected costs that are popping up in production?
That's it. We want to give you the insights to move past all that noise and into, well, an informed strategy.
So to structure this, the mastermind group filters everything through 4 key lenses. We've got acceleration.
Where progress is just moving faster than expected.
Then consolidation, where vendors or parts of the tech stack are kind of collapsing into each other.
We also have emergence. So what new strategic capabilities are just starting to appear?
And finally, and I think this is the most crucial one, contradictions and tension.
Oh, absolutely. That's where reality and the public narrative just diverge completely. Those tension signals are often the most valuable.
Why is that?
Because they show you the fragility of the current architectures.
Yeah.
I mean, knowing where the ground is unstable is essential for anyone leading a tech initiative right now.
Okay, that's a great framework. Let's unpack this, starting with the pace of change. Acceleration. What was the biggest signal that AI development is moving way faster than organizations are ready for?
The signal is unmistakable. Agentic workflows are officially no longer a novelty.
So they're normal now.
They're a normal, democratized enterprise capability. The conversation isn't, can an agent do this anymore? It's about how accessible the creation process has become.
And that accessibility just radically lowers the barrier to entry, to deployment.
It's a fundamental shift. I mean, earlier this year, if you wanted a complex multi-step agent, that was a whole project.
Oh yeah, you needed a specialized engineering team. A lot of time.
Exactly. And now, multiple sources in the report pointing to the evolution of these agent builder platforms.
Yeah.
OpenAI's developer environment, for example.
What's changed there?
We're talking about a move from writing complex Python code for orchestration to basically a point-and-click interface.
So it's accessible to non-coders now?
In a matter of months, yeah.
Yeah.
Accessible to almost anyone.
So when agent creation gets that easy that quickly, when a non-technical team can just spin up a prototype, what's the immediate implication for leadership?
It creates an immediate governance crisis. That's a key part of this signal.
Because you're not waiting on the central engineering team anymore.
Right. And leaders have to stop thinking about just optimizing individual prompts. They need to start designing for repeatable patterns.
Things like draft, review, commit.
Exactly. Or watch, escalate, act. Governance and internal policy have to evolve at this new pace. If you can't manage the risk profile of these non-engineering agents, well,
you're going to have shadow AI running rampant in weeks.
In weeks, yeah. And this is all tied to this maturity signal. Low-code and no-code AI is finally being seen as enterprise-grade.
Which is great for adoption, but it also really raises organizational expectations.
The expectation gap is real. If a tool is persistent, if it can maintain deep context over weeks, the business expects it to be as reliable as a full-stack solution.
But without the engineering overhead.
Right. The speed of the tools is demanding a similar speed in policy and architecture.
Let's switch gears to consolidation signals. This is where layers of the stack collapse or get acquired. The report flagged a really crucial gap in logging and monitoring.
Yeah, the observability gap.
Walk us through that.
Well, if you look at the major players, Databricks, Datadog, Splunk, they were built for tracing sequential, human-defined code.
Okay, so a predictable flow.
A predictable flow. They are not natively equipped for the complexity of agentic workflows. An agent is executing multi-step logic, making decisions, traversing different tools.
So standard sequential login just can't capture the logic chain.
It fails completely. You need to log the agent's intent, its reasoning trace, every single checkpoint, not just the final API call.
And the big players don't have this built in.
They don't. So what happens? Niche startups are rushing in to fill this critical vacuum.
And the report shows these niche solutions are being snapped up immediately by the bigger security and network companies.
Absolutely. The report mentioned acquisitions like Palo Alto Networks moves.
Yeah.
They recognize you cannot have stable, regulated enterprise adoption of agents without way better auditability and logging.
It's a critical consolidation signal. The infrastructure layer is basically correcting for the big vendors through M&A.
That's exactly what's happening.
All right, let's shift to the dark side of the coin. Contradictions and fragility. This is where the vendor hype just breaks down. The biggest signal here was that tools that look mature are proving to be incredibly brittle.
The best description for it came from one of the members, Joe, who said, a very sophisticated, production-ready system behaved like a teenager.
A teenager, so
Yeah.
moody and unpredictable.
Unreliable, moody, unpredictable.
Yeah.
Yeah. They discussed a specific case with a fraud detection agent built inside a controlled MasterCard environment that was just not performing.
Wait, hold on. If an agent built for something as deterministic as fraud detection in a controlled enterprise environment, if that's failing, why? What's the mechanism of that brittleness?
It wasn't simple code failure. It was integration complexity and what they call data distribution shift,
You know.
meaning when the model was exposed to real-time, messy inputs, the kind of unpredictable data you only see in production, it just became inconsistent. Its internal metrics drifted immediately.
So it lacked guardrails.
It lacked the guardrails and the self-correction to stabilize when faced with data outside its very narrow training band.
So the promise of autonomous, reliable AI is still hitting a wall of messy reality, even in these regulated spaces.
That is the persistent reality check of 2025. And this instability is directly tied to economic concerns.
Yeah.
Jennifer in the group raised a serious point about the spiraling compute costs under these hyperscaler AI services. And you're even seeing signs of instability, the hints of downsizing at places like OpenAI, despite their huge valuations.
Which suggests that the heavy LLM-first architecture is becoming a bottleneck, both technically and economically.
It is. So what's the strategic counter signal here?
What's the alternative?
It's the rapid rise of hybrid architectures, specifically combining traditional LLMs with what are called world models.
Okay, we absolutely need to define that for our listener. What exactly is a world model in this context?
A world model is an internal functional representation the AI uses to simulate its environment. Think of it as the AI's operational map of reality.
So instead of using a massive, expensive LLM for every single step of reasoning and planning?
You don't. The world model decouples those heavy tasks. It handles the planning, the prediction, the internal simulation of outcomes. The LLM then becomes more of a final communication layer.
Ah, so you're only asking the LLM to write the final email or the final code snippet, not to brute force the entire planning process.
Exactly. You reduce the computational burden. And this shift means that the big model bubble, the idea that endless scale is always the answer, is starting to wobble.
If the hybrid approach takes hold, then specialization and efficiency are going to win out over raw scale.
Quickly. And that means cheaper, faster, more domain-specific models will rise, and that could really disrupt the current vendor dominance.
That is a critical takeaway for anyone planning their tech stack for next year. Let's move on to emergence, these new strategic approaches that leaders should be adopting now. The discussion about internal adoption programs was super actionable.
This is where leadership can really shift from defense to offense. The group outlined a pretty robust playbook for getting teams to genuinely engage with AI.
What were the core components?
Things like using bounties or competitions to incentivize people, running structured hackathons, building lightweight policy that enables instead of restricts.
And the crucial step asking employees to proactively propose their own use cases.
That's the one. The power is realizing that the execs don't always know where the high-impact opportunities are.
The front line knows the pain points.
Better than anyone. One speaker shared this great anecdote from a fintech company. They got over 100 use cases submitted from employees. And the biggest ROI,
Yeah.
the highest return on investment, came from a team no one in the executive suite even thought of. The pricing team. They were able to optimize these incredibly complex workflows that they owned completely.
That's fascinating. It takes some humility to admit the executive vision missed the mark, and this frontline team was already running an underground optimization strategy.
It demands a culture of experimentation and trust. And tied to this is the emergence of defined agentic patterns for designing workflows. We need to stop thinking of AI as just a tool and start thinking of it as a coworker with specific repeatable roles.
You mentioned patterns like the triage agent, the watcher, or the planner verifier. How would you practically apply one of those? Like, what does a planner verifier agent actually do?
Okay, so a planner verifier is a pattern where an initial agent breaks a complex task down into smaller subtasks. That's the
Mhm.
planner.
Right.
But then a separate secondary model, the verifier, is introduced to check the output of each of those steps against some predefined quality gates before the next step can run.
So it's built-in quality control. That directly addresses the brittleness problem we were just talking about.
Precisely. And this leads right to this core concept Paul introduced, the human-in-the-middle design.
Human in the middle. I like that.
Historically, we automated tasks that could be done completely end-to-end. But AI, with these patterns, lets us automate the collaboration between humans.
At multiple checkpoints.
Yes. Instead of trying to replace an entire workflow, the human stays involved at the decision points where the risk or complexity is highest.
That's a powerful reframing. Automating collaboration instead of just automating execution. It makes it a lot safer.
And that safety is why the final trend is so necessary. The absolute requirement for robust evaluation and quality gates. The fragility signals confirm it. You can't deploy agents without serious evaluation.
Why are evaluations suddenly this non-negotiable safety net?
Because LLMs are inherently inconsistent. Custom GPTs, they drift.
You drift.
Yeah, they change over time because of updates to the base models or changes in API behavior or even just how users interact with them. You can't trust that the performance you had on Monday will be the same on Friday.
So what safety net tools do teams need to build in?
You need automated checks.
Right.
Consistency checks, style enforcers. Often a dedicated separate model, an evaluator model, whose only job is to validate the primary agent's output.
And you build in stop if unsure rules.
Yes, evaluation is now a foundational piece of the agent infrastructure, not some afterthought.
Okay, we've covered the 4 frames: acceleration, consolidation, contradictions, emergence. Let's synthesize this into what the report called the leadership mosaic. For the listener heading into 2026, what are the highest level needs that turn these signals into action?
Yeah, we can pull out 6 specific prioritized takeaways from this, mapping them back to vision, governance, tech stack, and talent.
All right, lay them out for us.
First, a clear, updated AI vision and policy. It's non-negotiable. You need it to align partners and quiet the skeptics. And lightweight governance has to happen now.
To encourage that fast experimentation.
Second, you must have a structured way to collect internal use cases. The front line knows where the high-impact opportunities are, not always the C-suite.
Okay, that's organizational readiness. What about architecture and talent?
Third, build organizational fluency in these agentic patterns. The next year is all about designing human-agent collaborations, not just writing better prompts.
Then
Fourth, commit fully to observability, logging, and evaluation. Remember, the risk profile for AI advice is totally different from AI making decisions. You have to log the reasoning for every automated decision.
And the last 2, based on those fragility signals?
Fifth, leaders need immediate awareness of the economic and technical fragility, the wobbling big model bubble, the cost signals. It means specialization and hybrid architectures should guide your spending.
Not vendor promises of endless scale.
Not at all. And sixth, actively plan for vendor instability and brittleness. Your architecture has to assume that your production agents will sometimes act like teenagers and require constant automated checks to stay functional.
That gives you, the listener, a really actionable set of priorities.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is moving from novelty to a fundamental organizational redesign.
It is. It requires challenging all your assumptions about stability, cost, and talent.
Which brings us to our final thought.
The pace of this shift really demands reflection. So, as you absorb these signals about fragility and specialization, here's the question we want to leave you with. Which assumptions about AI that seemed true in early 2025? Which of them no longer hold water for your organization?
And based on that, which weak signal, whether it's technical brittleness, economic consolidation, or even cultural resistance, seems most likely to become a strong, undeniable signal that dictates your strategic choices in 2026? Think about the unexpected ROI you might be missing. Thank you for sharing your source material with us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.